This is a video series on gut health hosted by myself, Kefir. And today we have with us our two friends, Nora and Alexis.
Hi everyone, how are you? This is Nora and my daughter Alexis.
Hi.
We actually have a business together called Kefir. And I am a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist. I've been in this field for almost 2 decades now. And I have a very deep inquisition into all of its areas. So its philosophy, its health implications, how it relates to overall health and specifically to the nervous system. So this is what I do, and this is my passion, and I'm very, very happy to be talking to a man of your stature, Godfrey, that can help us go delve deeper into the implications of health, looking at the gut health.
Yes, and my name is Alexis. Thank you, Godfrey, for introducing us. I am on bachelor's PhD track in quantum integrative medicine at Quantum University of Hawaii. So working through it slowly but surely, but as my mom here, very inquisitive and just wanting to soak up a whole bunch of information. So
yeah, let's soak it up.
Mm-hmm.
Our human body is made up of 30 trillion human cells. We have 100 trillion bacteria cells in our body. So if you take
these walking bacterial kind of incubator.
Yeah, so these are symbiotic. So we need them and they need us. Yeah, so it's a symbiotic kind of relationship.
Symbiosis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they have very important functions in digesting foods that we don't digest, but they are there and they're helping us, okay? And these are called the beneficial commensal bacteria, okay? And we call them the microbiota, okay? So if you think about the genetics that is related to diet, we have the human component, but we also have the genes from bacteria, which can also change between individuals. So if you think about it, we have like 1 to 4 kilograms of bacteria in our gut.
I was going to ask.
Sorry?
Weight-wise, it's quite a bit. Yes.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. Yeah.
So you're heavier if you have better gut flora. You actually get heavier in a healthy way.
Because as we will see later on, maybe in other videos, we will go into obesity and these sort of things, which are also related to the type of bacteria that you have in the gut.
Right.
Godfrey, you brought up a really good point. I really liked it before, where how just putting the numbers into perspective, like how many trillions of bacteria we have in our gut versus how many human cells we actually have. And so we're basically like walking bags of bacteria. And that's pretty fascinating if you think of it. And see, now thinking as a person who may not be as educated on the whole physiology and the chemistry behind this kind of stuff, all I know is that I hear that probiotics are very important for my gut health. That's kind of the main message that's floating around out there. So what I'm going to do is I might go into a store, and a health food store, and ask someone who's a little more intelligent in that field to guide me to some probiotics, right? And what I notice a lot of the times is that they don't quite know what strains necessarily recommend. Because I know, like, the bottle, they say this many billions, that many billions, right? And some specialize for women, some for extra boost in colon health, like, and I'm just looking at it like, okay, so what do I need, right? And I think that's quite a mystery, and often the salespeople just don't know what to tell you. So is there research behind this?
So yeah, that's a very, very interesting question. And I see this in the near future coming up because, as you say, I mean, you go to the store and then it says this will boost your gut, but you don't exactly know how and why and what's happening. Yeah. And I would say that the only way to know is to actually know what is your gut flora.
Mhm.
Now,
That's another good point. How do we know
Is
that?
there any way to know that?
so as I said before, we are really scientifically, we are working towards reading, and we do read microbiota in fecal samples.
Mhm.
So we take from screening programs, yeah, fecal samples, because fecal samples do represent, they are not equal to, but do represent the gut microbiota. Now, sorry to go into this subject, but fecal substance is 60% live and dead bacteria. Okay, so we actually are really having a representation of what we have in the gut.
Yeah.
And we are studying the diversity and abundance of these bacteria to understand the relation between gut microbiota and disease progression. And I will tell you
one of your specialty, isn't it, Godfrey? Do I know that
yes,
correctly?
yes.
You know, when you got that dysbiosis or the imbalance occurring, that's when you get all those symptoms like gas. What else do you experience?
Bloating.
Right, constipation,
or constipation,
bloating,
all these kind of these abdominal discomforts, right? And then they affect your mind, right? You get all just even more stressed out. It kind of gets into like a vicious cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I'm studying too. Is like how the mind is so integrated into your health, and it's you're consuming things with your mind and as well as through your digestive system, right? So yeah, now with the probiotics, since the probiotics are live cultures, they need food, from what I learned. And obviously, if you're buying probiotics, you had a very good analogy. I'll let you explain this before I keep talking. Something about the probiotics as seeds versus the prebiotics, which are their nutrients.
Yeah, so probiotics would have a small amount, yeah, which are the seed to actually help changing your microbiota.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that, you need nutrients for them, yeah, not for us, but for them, yeah. So that they produce our nutrients, yeah. So the analogy here is, you know, the probiotics is the seed, yeah, this small amount of bacteria, but it's like a garden, yeah. So when you cultivate a garden, so if you put the seed in some soil, yeah, it will stay there. But if you don't put water or nutrients, yeah, then you would not produce the plant that you would need. So you really need to culture these microbiota. So the probiotic is the life culture, yeah. But if you don't put the prebiotic, which is the food for them to grow, yeah, then they will not grow. Because
and that's where I think that's beautiful. And that's where I think a lot of the probiotics, all that money spent just literally goes down the toilet.
And your money with it.
Because if there is a disbalance, yeah, that disbalance is going to continue because the unbeneficial bacteria, which are now abundant, are going to help themselves to become more abundant.
Yeah.
And then you put in a small amount, which is not enough, yeah, for the balance to come back. So you really need to nourish that.
So I think it sounds to me like the nourishment is more of the key here. And I think that the probiotic supplementation seems more like a tool to be used sparingly in certain occasions. Like, for example, after a round of antibiotics, it really kills all the seedlings, where you would need to be sure to replenish the primary strains necessary, right? But if someone's just feeling that dysbiosis for whatever reason, maybe we have to look towards what are they intaking prebiotically. Is that correct?
Yeah, with diet changes, you can do a lot of rebalancing the gut.
I'd love to get into more on how we can obtain these prebiotics through food, just touching on it, because they seem to be so important in the healing of certain bowel diseases.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to me, as you mentioned previously, that even if you just have like a few little seeds left of each strain, right? You can grow them back like you would grow a garden, right? You just need to give them the right prebiotics. So what are prebiotics exactly, and how can we get them through food?
Some of the food sources, I guess we can mention.
So the main one is fiber, right? So fiber is the main prebiotic, because fiber, we cannot digest fiber as humans, yeah? Those are digested by specific bacteria. And those bacteria, well, they are called, there's a particular phyla, which is one of the main phyla, which is firmicutes, okay? And they metabolize these dietary plant, which we call polysaccharides, which are example of these fibers. And they produce very important products. Butyrate is a very important product for keeping the line integrity, the gut lining integrity, so very tight, so that you don't have leaky gut.
Right.
Once you have leaky gut, once a body would have leaky gut, then it becomes an inflammatory disease or a syndrome. Yeah, depends on the level, okay, of that. Then there are specific probiotics with prebiotics, yeah, that are doing extremely well in specific areas. Like in ulcerative colitis, there is a specific probiotic, prebiotic that is very important. And they do extremely well on it, okay? And then there are others, but the main one is fiber. The fiber and the actual, what we call the plant-based polysaccharides, okay? And those bacteria are also anti-inflammatory, okay? They produce a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. Once you move on to animal-based diet, then you switch on to bile-tolerant microorganisms, okay? So those are the bacteroids. And these are pro-inflammatory and also result in a disbalance again of the...
Yeah. Now in my notes, Godfrey, I don't know if I may step in here. There are a couple of food sources mentioned. Can I maybe articulate this to the listeners? So one of them being chicory root. That would be a very good source of fiber. This is the FOS or fructo oligosaccharides that you mentioned, right? So chicory root actually provides that. And then just interrupt me if you don't agree. And then the 1,3,1,4 beta glucans. We hear a lot about these compounds, but mainly people heard about this before COVID hit. Actually, it was in all sorts of social media, but that actually the source for this story would be dietary yeast. But I'm talking about a different strain right now that is not from dietary yeast, and that would be from oats. Simple as that. Your beautiful cereal breakfast.
Well, this would be, if you think about it, you guys, we have soluble fiber and insoluble fiber, right?
That's right.
By definition, if just hearing the word soluble, it can dissolve, right? Yes. That's digestible. Insoluble, it's the roughage that passes through. So you think of it that way. That's more so what we're talking about here. That's going to feed, because the bacteria is going to eat off that, not necessarily us. So think about it that way in a sense, right? We got here green bananas.
Like, I guess it's a special type of banana. Don't eat unripe fruit.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Actually, this was interesting to me when I first learned it, that repeatedly cooked and cooled rice and potatoes, these kind of starches become resistant starch. So once you cook them fresh and you eat them fresh, it's a different story. The moment you put them in the fridge, take them back out and eat them the next day, now they're more resistant starch. From what I've learned.
Cooked and cooled, yeah.
And now it becomes some sort of prebiotic fiber. We got Jerusalem artichokes, legumes.
Legumes are huge.
Pulses.
And pulses, which are slightly different from legumes.
Yeah, they're just the seedlings of the legumes that are edible.
Yeah, and this is why actually sprouting these types of grains are very, very good for your gut.
Yeah, that's why they say the sprouted grains.
So thank you very much, Nora and Alexis, for this great interview. And so we touched today on the importance of the microbiota, which are microorganisms in our gut, and the importance in the products of these bacteria and how they help us to digest complex compounds into beneficial substances. We also touched on the formation of probiotics, which are living microorganisms that, when administered in adequate amounts, confer a health benefit. And the key here, Alexis mentions, is the actual prebiotics, which are the nutrients for these living microorganisms, because they would require the nutrients so that we culture them and we maintain the abundance and diversity that we require for gut health. So as a scientist, I want to generate high quality evidence that has a positive impact on society. As consumers, you all want reliable information to make informed decisions. And regulators want to actually protect you consumers from any misinformation. So thank you for hearing us. Of course, I will invite you now to also subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you will be notified for all the videos that are upcoming. Thank you very much.